the seed of a tree as it grows. You can hear it if you listen to the wind as it blows. It's there in the river as it flows into the sea. It's the sound of your soul, of someone becoming free. And it lives in the laughter of children at play, and in the blazing sun that gives life to the day. It moves the planets and the stars in the sky. It's been the mover of mountains since beginning of time. Oh, mystery, you are alive. I feel you all around. You are the fire in my heart. You are the holy sound. You are all of life, and it's to you that I sing. Oh, grant that I may feel you always in everything. And it lives in the waves as they crash upon the beach. I've seen it in the goals that we have tried to reach, and I feel it in the love that I know we need so much. And I know it in your smile, my love, when our hearts do touch. But when I listen deep inside, I feel you best of all, like a moon that's glowing white. And I listen to your call, rushing through the ocean of my heart that's open wide. And I know that you will guide me. I feel you like the tide. Oh, mystery, you are alive. I feel you all around. You are the fire in my heart. You are the holy sound. You are all of life, and it's to you that I sing. Oh, grant that I may feel you always in everything. Oh, grant that I may feel you always in everything.
skittering in. Well, good morning and welcome to Emerson. Good morning. Okay. Welcome to Emerson, especially to today's visitors. We gather here in person as an extended community with those online. Everybody wave to the camera. Unitarian Universalism is unambiguously, unapologetically progressive. This congregation affirms the inherent worth and dignity of all people by actively working to end racism, oppression, by supporting the LGBTQIA+ communities, by working for reproductive justice, voting rights, and other issues as the world calls us to side with love. We seek to build beloved community, not only here, but in the wider community we live and work in by living out our shared Unitarian Universalist values. And we bring a spirit of joy to it all. It is so good to be together this morning. Now we pause to light our chalice as a symbol of our shared Unitarian Universalism faith. Clark Thomas is going to light the chalice while I read the words. Our chalice words this morning are a reflection by Parker J. Palmer. Today, after 77 years of life in a world that's both astonishingly beautiful and horrifically cruel, sanctuary is as vital as breathing to me. Sometimes I find it in churches, monasteries, and other sites designated as sacred. But more often, I find it in places sacred to my soul, in the natural work, in the company of a trustworthy friend, in solitary or shared silence, in the ambiance of a good poem or good music. Sanctuary is wherever I find safe space to regain my bearings, reclaim my soul, heal my wounds, and return to the world as a wounded healer. We light this chalice as givers of sanctuary here and in this world. And now, in the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's greet and welcome each other to this new day as we share our congregational affirmation, we need not think alike to love alike. Let's greet and welcome each other to this new day. Those in the sanctuary, feel free to move around to offer greetings, and for those online, please use the chat to introduce yourself. Welcome to this space, this sanctuary of peace, where we come to not only create our best selves, but to also do the work of creating a beloved community. We come together today as individuals, much like individual pieces of glass or pottery that are different shapes, sizes, and colors, all of which are broken with imperfect, jagged edges, but always beautiful. While our pieces may not always fit neatly together, it is within this sanctuary, guided by our Unitarian Universalist principles and values, that we gather together to create a beautiful mosaic. Create worship together. And now we are going to sing opening hymn number 1009 in the Teal hymnal, Meditation on Breathing. In celebration, please rise in body or voice.
Good morning, everybody. This hymn has 3 different parts, and we're going to just let you pick the part you like best. And the choir will be helping on all 3 of them as well. But if you are a person who wants the simple, grounding, low part, you're going to do this. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe. And if you're a person who likes the melody, you'll do this. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Good. And if you're a high voice and you like to show off a little, you're going to do this. Ready? When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. So I'll just show you part 1, the low part. Part 2, come in on that melody. Part 3, come in on that high part. And we'll get it going, I guess, until I get tired of it. And then when you see me put up a fist, it means it's our last time through. Let's get the low voice going first. Ready? And breathe.
We've come to the time of sharing the matters of the heart, and I'm wondering, Keith, if we could turn this up a little bit. I'm going to bring it forward. Can you hear me a little better now? Good. Clark, would you help me with the stones this morning? And I'm wondering, Jillian, if you can get me the book that's in the back. For a ritual that we celebrate and honor and remember our joys and sorrows and concerns, we have stones. The stones are heavy, and they are smooth. They are indicative of things in our lives that sometimes feel like they weigh us down, but also the smooth edges of joy. And the water receives those stones with caresses and calm. We are invited to put in this book things that you would like to share, and others also email them during the week to pastoral care. And we place 4 stones every week. The first is in honor of the Cherokee and the Muskogee nations of the indigenous people who lived here before us. The second is in remembrance of those wrongly enslaved here who labored on this land. And the third we added recently is for those killed and injured by gun violence in this community. And last, for all those hurting in current conflicts and wars that rage across this globe. We have one glorious joy to share. So find a really big one in there, Clark. Mark and Maria Cobb shared that their son Max got married last week. And the highlight is when he came in dancing for joy. Would you put a stone in for me? I had to rewrite a sermon because we had to talk about the election and all that I carry and stress. And I know I'm not the only one in the room, so thank you. Put one last stone in for the things that have not been shared yet. Sometimes those things are too tender, but know that you are not alone and we are here with you. Let's close with the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be. Thank you.
Good morning. Unitarian Universalism is a faith often referred to as one of deeds and not creeds. It is how we show up in the world that we live our faith. One way we seek to do this is by partnering with other organizations who work to bring love, kindness, and justice to the world. Each Sunday, we collect financial contributions, which are shared equally with our partner organization. This month, we share our basket with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Cobb County. My name is Mary Miller, and I'm the co-chair of the Social Justice Leadership Team in the choir and in the Activities Committee. And today, I'd like to introduce to you our guest, Nancy Harrison Burke, longtime Cobb resident. She works as a nurse and is a volunteer with NAMI Cobb. Thanks for coming, Nancy.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you for allowing us to come today and talk a little about something that means a lot to me, and that is NAMI. NAMI stands for the National Alliance of Mental Illness. It is a very important program in my life and in a lot of people's lives. Their job is to work to educate, cut down the issues, try and cut down some of the noise around people's ideas and mental illness, and helping us to learn how to live with people who have mental illness in our lives or ourselves. NAMI does do this through advocacy as well as education and support. The Cobb County NAMI group, which is a large group in Atlanta, does provide programs such as something called Family to Family. That's a program where families learn how to deal with somebody they don't know. Somebody who they haven't learned yet. Very difficult to deal with, somebody they thought they knew. Family to Family was the thing that made the difference in me being able to deal with my loved one in a much better way. There's also something called peer-to-peer, which is a continuous support group for people who are having issues to be able to get some of the support they need and meet with people. As you may or may not know, one of the things that we're finding is one of our biggest issues with making our mental illnesses worse is isolation. And the more involved we can stay, all of us, and the more accepting we stay of others, things go very well. NAMI, of course, does have a fundraising side. We always do. We do something called the NAMI Walk. I walked this year for the first time in several years, and I was sad to see that it was about a third of what it normally was. And they tell me it's because of post-COVID. And I was like, well, then there ought to be more. There ought to be more. Because more of us, it's a very frightening thing to deal with someone who's acting weird, someone who doesn't seem to share the same mental ability to understand things that you do. But once you understand more about mental illness, and one of the ways I did this was through NAMI and further, is to learn that just because one part of your brain isn't working doesn't mean another part is not working really hard. And you can work through some of these things. The person who's most significantly affected in my life is a brilliant woman. And I'll just say that. A brilliant woman who is no longer functional. And it's heartbreaking. And it could have been dealt with in a better way. That's what NAMI's about. If you know somebody who might, have a mental illness, maybe a recent diagnosis, maybe you guys have been ignoring it for a long time, maybe you just want to learn you don't want to deal with it more than learn how to cut down on some of the chaos. The programs are there for you. The education is there for you. And I will be here for a while after we finish the service and things today to talk to anyone in my little tiny knowledgeable way about what NAMI is and what it does offer. And if I can offer any help to anyone, in getting some of that support, I'm glad to. Thank you.
Please offer a donation as you are able, or take one of the cards that describes the way to give electronically. Ways to give are also posted in the chat for those of you online. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally with Emerson and our partner organization. Please give as you are able. We appreciate your support.
I invite the young and young at heart to come forward and join me with a quick story. And I'm going to use the lapel mic now. Hello, my friends. I want to tell you a little bit today about what is going on with many of us. We are in an election season. Have you heard about it? Yes. Have you heard about it so much that you're just ready for it to be over? Yes. Me too, me too. Well, there are some smart kids in the room and some smart people in this room, And I know that even if you don't fully understand all that's going on, you've seen the signs in the lawns. You've overheard perhaps some of us adults going, you might have even seen commercials or seen things in the mail, and you've heard how people are speaking to each other, and sometimes not so kindly. On Tuesday, every adult, 18 and up, have the opportunity to vote for the next leaders of our country and our states and our communities. And many grown-ups will vote. Some won't, some can't, and some will be nervous about voting because everybody's really, really anxious right now. And we are really worked up. So I'm going to tell you about something called the amygdala. Do you know what an amygdala is? What a weird word, huh? We have a part of the brain. You do know it's a part of the brain, right? And the amygdala is where we process our emotions, especially fear. And when we get afraid, that amygdala jumps into action, and it kind of jumps up and down, and it makes us not able to really think or hear other parts of our brain. Sometimes when the amygdala is so excited, we have a hard time speaking. It won't let us ask questions, and it won't even let wonder jump in. And you have a question? It is triggering the fight or flight response, and some people even call it the monkey brain. Yeah, fight, flight, or freeze. So, right now, many of us in this room, many people in our neighborhoods, many people in this country are moving around with their amygdala in charge. Just think, I'll ask you later. And now, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just a true thing. And because of this, it's super helpful for us to think of clear, safe ways for us to figure out how to get through this time, like voting. Some of the people in our communities are our helpers at this time with voting. And some of them are poll watchers. Some are volunteers to be advisors and to be monitors for safety. And you know what? I know that there are a few of them in this room today who are helping with this voting process in all the different ways. And so I was wondering if you have done any phone calls or any poll watching, or you plan to be a monitor on that day, would you stand? Let's look around. Stand our arms, yes. Go ahead and have a seat, and then we're going to share some words for you. And you know, there might even be some people who are online who are participating in different ways. Some might even be making phone calls. Do you know that poll watchers and workers and helpers help us with opportunities? They help us figure out ways to vote based on the things that we believe in, about what matters and the dreams we have for the world. And here at Emerson, we talk about what Unitarian Universalism means. And sometimes when we look at what our values are, we realize they are expressions of the world in which we dream could be in place. So as we move towards Tuesday and all the adults sigh and have their amygdalas running around like crazy, I want for you to help us stay focused. I want for you to walk up to that adult, put your hand on their shoulder and say, "It's gonna be okay." If you don't remember anything about what we said today, I want you to remember that it's going to be okay because we have each other, no matter what happens in this election. Will you help me bless the poll workers? So if you could stand up and turn around and look at all these grown-ups. Stand up. Turn around. And then with your arms, give them all a big hug. A big hug like this. A big hug. We are bound together, part of a great web. And you, dear helpers, help us find and make our way. May you be treated with kindness and gratitude. May you act with dignity and faithfully. May you know that your work matters. Bless us with your affirmation, with your work, and we bless you with our gratitude for all you do. One more hug. Thank you, all the helpers. We need you, and we are so grateful. So let's sing our song together.
Love is the doctrine of His church, and quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve in mankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other. Thus do we promise to each other.
Thank you. In May, Kathy and I got together to think about music for the fall. And I knew that the election is coming. The date was on the calendar. So I thought, maybe the Sunday before, we would have had enough of the election talk and we would need reminding that we need to be grounded to the earth to get through that time. Yet, as the day is approaching and the margins are so narrow, I realized I needed to switch gears. I needed to talk about what was in my heart and what my amygdala was doing, because so much is at stake. Many of the shared values that we hold so dear as Unitarian Universalists are under attack. And you know, I feel anxious. I feel on edge. Sometimes I've been kind of close to tears. And I might not have been my best self in some of the communications that I've had lately. So I have needed to remind myself to breathe and to consider my quick responses and to remember to speak with care. I imagine I'm not the only one in the room. Within our own Emerson community, some of you have shared that you are feeling anxious and afraid. And yes, it is a fearful time. And being under unrelenting fear is exhausting. And when we walk around in this heightened fight or flight mode, we need to remember that there are those in our community who live on the margins all the time. There are those in our community who are not just feeling afraid of what's coming Tuesday because of values and ideals, but worries about bodily harm to themselves or to their family. This is particularly true for those who are trans or non-binary people, for the queer folk in the room, for those who identify as Black and Indigenous and people of color, and for those of us who worry for ourselves and for our children and for our children's children with regards to climate change. So right now, this week, as we prepare for Tuesday, I want you to think of a few people you might call, people who you could call and check in with and be in connection to and say, I'm here with you. You are not alone. Unitarian Universalism holds that democracy is one of our highest values. The democratic process is core to how we engage with each other and how we want to engage in the world. It's based on the ideas of equity and justice and reciprocity. Democracy itself supports our shared UU principles that all people have dignity and worth, and that we live not just as isolated beings, but interdependently. And voting, that one small thing, like the poet Lynn Unger writes, it's just literally a dot, especially before we had computer machines and we had pencils, and we would fill in the little circle. Voting is the boldest of declarations for what we dream for. It is a simple dot chosen for equality, for life abundant, for freedom of conscience, and the vote for the world we dream for ourselves. Our ideal of democracy is hanging by a thread right now. And I want to intellectually understand the neighbors that are around me that understand things differently. There is a sense that they live in a different world. And I do want to emotionally connect, and I want to intellectually connect because I want to have compassion for my neighbors and to understand. It is hard for me to understand that there are those who believe the rhetoric of fear that denigrates democracy itself. But that fearful rhetoric that vilifies the other, these beliefs slander our values as Unitarian Universalist. And there are those that say, more guns, higher walls, tighter spaces are needed in order to get through this, and that will fix everything. So in my attempt to understand where they're coming from, I am exhausted too. I will stand by my values, though, no matter what happens on Tuesday. My values will guide me no matter what happens, because our values are a framework of holding love and justice and respect for the other above all else. And you know what? I need that, and I know my children need that, and I know we deserve that for each other. That fear of the other has been a part of the American mythology for many iterations and in many eras. We know that what we're experiencing right now and what we hear is not a new story. For example, that mythology of the lone cowboy out in the West. That lone cowboy that could do it all alone, that didn't need anybody. That mythology was grounded in racist and supremacist power structures. It was part of an anti-immigrant history. It was part of a backlash against feminism. Each generation has had a mythology that has fed fear. That fear that we don't have enough, that we are not safe. I grew up in a household that had great-grandparents, grandparents visiting, my parents, and myself. And we each had a different iteration of this fear told to us in our generation. My great-grandparents lived through the Great Depression, and that sense that there was not enough was real. And that fear, that trauma never went away. And those who fought in wars, in World War II, and then later in Vietnam, and then in my own generation of dealing with the AIDS crisis, and then September 11th, these created traumas and fears in us that we were not safe and there was not enough. Each generation has faced harrowing challenges which often create a trauma response in ourselves. That amygdala gets going. And these trauma responses threaten our sense of safety and even our notion of care for ourselves and for each other. And these reflexes, these quick responses that sometimes don't give us a chance to breathe and think and remember who we are and what our values are, these trauma responses get passed on to the next generation. Fear. Fear drives us to pull in, to protect, and to conserve. Historian Heather Cox Richardson points out that conservatives often appeal to the idea of that rugged, individualist, cowboy notion that we don't need each other. But that political rhetoric that we hear going around in this election is about division and distraction from each other. And the distinction from each other, rather than coming to each other, is what we need right now. We need to be together. We need to be in direct communication and to support one another to get through this without increasing our levels of trauma. And you know what? We know how to do this. COVID taught us so clearly we need each other. Not just for companionship and emotional support, but for daily functioning and survival. And COVID taught us more than how to knit and how to bake bread. COVID taught us and reminded us that we knew how to be resilient and to persevere. And we did so because we came back together in community. We cannot live alone. We are a social species. We are a community. Jana Stanfield once said, "I cannot do all that the world needs, but the world needs all I can do." And I'm going to do that. And I invite you to do it with me. We know how to do this. We know how to get through whatever is coming. So let's take a breath. Let's take each other into our arms. And a week from today, let's gather back here. And we will sing. And we will be connected. And we will be each other's sanctuary. May it be so. Let's sing "I Know I Can," number 1015 in the Teal hymnal.
Oh
close with these words by Reverend Daniel O'Connor. Despite daily dismay, despite righteous rage, hold on. Despite shaming of the innocent, hold on. Despite fresh stories of bullying and hate, hold on. Hold on to what is good and honest and true, and find that calm center of yours. It is hiding behind a closed door. Open it and hold on. Despite the noise of bickering and profanity, hold on to kindness. Despite the whirlwind of potential tragedy, hold on. Hold on to this house of memory and hope as a haven, because now we need it more than ever. Hold on and hold fast, for together we make a beacon of love and hope, and together we are a beacon whose light pushes light into the darkness. Elections come and go, and we've been here for hundreds of years, and we look forward to hundreds more. Hold on. May this moment pass, and may love prevail. And it will do so because we are holding on. Amen. Amen. Clark, would you help us put out the chalice? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in hearts and out into the world until we are together again. I'll go ahead and do the announcements. We've got a couple of announcements. Children and teachers are invited to come here after the social hour to gather in the sanctuary for a quick minute so we can get ready for practice for the pageant. I know. It's amazing to think that it's around the corner. And service reflections usually happen here in the sanctuary, but so the children and youth and teachers can have this space to get ready, I invite you to join us in the room where the sofas are. I'm not sure what that is called. I call it the sofa room. We might need a few extra chairs, we'll see, but today the children need this space. And also in the social justice room, our speaker from NAMI will be meeting to give more information to help you find more resources for perhaps what you need in your life too. Go in peace. I'll see you here next week.